Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Plant Free MD podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Anthony Chaffee, and today I have a very special guest, Mrs. Joy Vila, who is an actress, recording artist, and a fitness enthusiast and trainer, and is coming on to tell us her fitness journey and health journey. Joy, thank you so much for coming on. It's a pleasure to see you.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor. Plant-free MD. I love
Yeah.
it.
So for people who haven't come across you before, can you tell us a bit about yourself and what you do?
Yes. So I actually was a vegan for 25
Mm.
years. I was plant-based, and I just now got into the carnivore diet. I am a personal trainer. I'm a Billboard recording artist. I hit #1 on Billboard, iTunes, Amazon. I've toured 39 countries. I've lived overseas in 6 countries. I have a very wide variety of things I'm into, and so I'm an author as well. And one of the things is I competed in bikini bodybuilding, plant-based. I had my own vegan fitness company for
Mhm.
years, which I've now turned into a holistic nutritional company. I'm a holistic nutritionist, personal trainer, and owner and creator of Joy Villa Fitness.
Very good. It's very yeah, it's always interesting. How was the reception? And we'll get into why you changed and everything like that and your
Mhm.
experiences. But I was always interested, like, because you were not only doing vegan, but you were obviously putting yourself out there. You had a
Oh
vegan,
yeah.
food and fitness company sort of
I
thing.
was
How was
into
that?
it.
How was that? Yeah, how was that reception with this transition? Because sometimes there's quite a lot of pushback.
Yes. So it's interesting because I was so used to the haters. People will be like, I'm no stranger to controversy. I'm very outspoken in the Make America Healthy Again movement and the Maha MAGA. I'm like very, so I'm used to controversy. So vegan was just another thing that people could hate me for, right? So I'd be like, no, I'm vegan, and I was educated. So I read all the papers, all the white papers, all the studies. I'm like, absolutely, which I thought at that time were accurate and factual, and I was helping people. So if people would push back on veganism at that time, I was like, that's okay. I'm still going to help you. Flipping into being a meat eater, when I announced, I was actually so scared for a year, I didn't say anything because I didn't want people to know because I said, okay, I have sponsorships being a
Hmm.
vegan. I have, people, I've worked with companies, friendships that I built through the vegan community. And I'll never forget, I went out to this meeting, this meetup with a group of people. And there was this guy, and he was a British guy, and he was really cool. We struck up a conversation. He's like, "Yeah, it's a vegan meetup, right?" So I was like, "Okay, cool, vegan meetup in Florida." And he showed me his tattoo, and it said "vegan" on his arm, like huge. And I'm like, "How long have you been a vegan?" And he says, "Oh, I've been a vegan for 2 years now." And I'm like, "And you got
Really?
that tattoo?" I'm like, I was a vegan for 25 years and I never would have got it. And I'm covered in tattoos, nothing that says vegan because you
Hmm.
can't. And I was even already like, okay, I think I'm going to get out of this cult. I don't think this is for me. It was
Yeah.
starting to unravel. But I said, well, if I say anything, and then so finally I said something, I announced it on my social media, and I got tons of hate from vegans.
Mm.
Disappointed me. I used to trust you. And now I had a vegan fitness company called the Fit and Sexy Vegan, which we now turned into Joy Villa Fitness. So I was already being like, okay, it's holistic. I got my certification. You don't have to. I train clients of all different types and food. So I was already starting to condition my audience to see that it's not just about veganism.
Mhm.
But the vegans came out strong. They attacked me. They're like, I can't believe you're now into killing animals. And then my brother, who's still a vegan, he just of course has to get on my nerves. He's like, I can't believe you did that. And but he's playful. He's not a
Mhm.
hater. But I look at all these people who attack me and I click on their profile pictures. Their skin looks bad. They're painfully underweight or overweight. They have acne. And I was always one of the healthiest vegans I knew because of supplementation and diet,
Mhm.
exercise. I was very rigid with that. But most people can't do that kind of lifestyle. Most people aren't, as obsessed. And the fact that you have to be that rigid to follow your eating shows that it's not really the way nature, the way God intended us to eat. That was my revelation. And so now I just say, hey, I got love for everybody. But I think most of the vegans have been a bit quiet. I'm sure after this comes out, this podcast episode comes out, the haters are gonna get riled up again. That's okay.
Probably. Yeah.
Bring it on.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah. Well, I mean, and you think about it, I mean, you're talking about what we're, designed to eat. If you have to take supplements, then by definition, your diet is deficient and not what we're
Exactly.
designed to eat because we're not designed to need supplements. No matter what we are, we're not supplementivores. Like we're not designed to just eat
Mm-hmm.
supplements and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Totally.
yeah, if you have to do that, then your diet is a bad diet. It's not a good diet. It's not
Yeah.
satisfying your demands. Now, you may have malabsorption issues or something else that you may need
Mm-hmm.
a bit more nutrient density or something like that. Organs, so I mean that's the solution for that
Yeah.
sort of thing. I mean, if someone has like pernicious anemia where they are not capable of absorbing B12 and they need sublingual or injections, that's different. That's a medical condition. That's not a
Right.
biological design. That's not a nutritional design flaw because there is B12 in
Mm-hmm.
meat. It's just that your body can't extract it because there's a medical condition. So, but
Yeah.
if it
And
just
I
doesn't
used to
have it in
say
the first
that,
place,
right? To
yeah.
meat eaters who would tell me, oh, B12 deficiency and all this. I said, well, everybody has a B12 deficiency. Meat eaters should supplement too. I was big on supplementation
Mm-hmm.
because you have to be. You have to be indoctrinated as a vegan that this is normal, that this is how, because otherwise your whole food eating plans fall apart. And I was
Hmm.
very much into veganism for health. I used to say I
Hmm.
was vegan for all the reasons. Yes, no animal cruelty. I'm still anti-animal cruelty, right?
Yeah,
I get
me
farm
too.
raised, pasture raised, right? I mean,
Hmm.
most people who eat meat I know are anti-cruelty, and we want to get the
Hmm.
antibiotic free, fresh farm raised, natural, humanely slaughtered. But that, for them, for vegans, it's very much a religion, and
Hmm.
it's very much it doesn't matter if you're eating French fries, because I used to say just because you're vegan doesn't mean you're healthy.
Hmm.
French fries and cigarettes are vegan.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
know a lot of those French fry cigarette vegans, but in their mind, it's not about health. It is about animals, saving the animals, but it's not really about saving the animals. Because if you dissect what else they do, and if you go, okay, well, what about this? Could you do this? And what about farming, how it kills a lot of bugs? And then they say, nope, listen, I'm better, I'm moral. You're hurting people. I'm the righteous one. And that's really what it's about. That's why I do
Yeah.
believe veganism is a cult because they're all
Mm.
about feeling righteous. Like that guy, he's like, oh my, I got my tattoo. He had some severe mental health problems, I found out, and I was like, are you going to handle that? Oh, yeah, no, I'm just going to exercise and be vegan and not hurt animals. I'm going to be fine. He was avoiding his own mental health issues by being vegan. And that's the problem. It's not just about a diet. It becomes a religious philosophy, it becomes a moral superiority argument. It becomes, I'm better. And I felt that when I was vegan. I'll
Mm.
tell you, I was like, yeah, I'm eating better than these people.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
this is what it feeds you. So I'm anti all of that crap now, which is funny because I'm anti that closeted bubble mindset, that bubble thinking. I think all of us should look at the opposite of whatever we espouse as the best. Experiment, do your studies, look at it, and then make up your mind for yourself.
I think that's a really good way of looking at it, and I always want people to say it's like, don't take my word for it. Listen to what I have to
Hmm.
say. Put out this information. I have guests on, they have their side of things, and I have, you know, doctors, professors, researchers, and put published data on and say, okay, you look at it. This is what we're basing this on.
Hmm.
You take a look at
Hmm.
that and you see what you think, and make up your own mind. And look at the opposite. Look what
Yes.
they're saying. Listen to their arguments. Look at their evidence, and listen to our arguments, and look at our evidence. Make your own
Hmm.
decision. You're an adult. You
Totally.
get to do that. And so,
Yeah.
but yeah,
People forget they're an adult, though. They
it
forget they're an
is. Yeah.
adult.
Well, yeah, and then they just close themselves off. I mean, when
Hmm.
when I when I was researching this, I I sort of had that epiphany. I'm like, hold on a second, just humans, just that's just the kind of animal we are, and animals need to eat to their biological design. That's every single form of life on Earth.
Hmm.
Plants need certain inputs. They need certain things in the soil. They need certain exposures to light. They need certain atmospheric conditions in order to thrive and meet
Yeah.
their requirements for life. We have that too. And there's
Yeah.
certain things that are toxic to different forms of life. And so that applies to us as well. We are not outside of
Mhm.
that. We're not angels coming down from heaven where this is the material world and we're just above it. Like, no, sorry, we are actually of this world, and we need
Absolutely.
to respect its laws. And
Mm.
so I started looking into this and saying, okay, well, what's the evidence for this? What can we prove and all that? And I knew from my own personal experience, because for 5 years I did this. I just avoided plants, and that was my whole litmus test. Is like, if it has a plant, I'm not eating it. Like, that's it.
It's
And
incredible
so I just,
discipline for
yeah,
5 years. Like, how many
yeah,
people can do a test for five
yeah,
years?
yeah. Well, and yeah, well, it was like, just, my professor was just told us how toxic plants were, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not touching it. And I just felt amazing. And
Wow.
then I sort of slipped off of it, because I wasn't doing something specifically. It was just that literally one lecture, one day that just changed
Mm.
everything for me.
Mm.
And then you get this constant inundation of, oh, you need vegetables, you need this, you need that. I'm like, yeah, really? He goes, oh, but they've got anti-VEGF. It's good against cancer. I'm like, yeah, but I don't have cancer, so I don't know why I need a
Hmm.
chemotherapy agent. And um, mushrooms have carcinogens. So I'm like, what would, just because it has a good thing doesn't mean it doesn't have bad things as well. And
Right.
again, it's good if you have cancer, but I don't have cancer. So, is this actually providing any benefit for me? And so that was always like, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. But you're just getting inundated,
Oh
just
my
all that. So, but
gosh.
yeah, and
We
so you
get
just,
so inundated. I mean,
mm,
the standard American diet, right? I mean, which is just it's awful. It's sad. It's
mm,
horrendous. It's like eat a bunch of grains, eat a bunch of plants,
yeah,
stay away from fats, limit your fats. But it's okay to have a Diet Coke because that's healthy. Like it's just crap. We're starting to
mm,
find out all of these toxic chemicals, all of this toxic stuff that's been in our food, all of these ideas and a lot of these studies are published by companies that make money, right? It's like, why are we pushed all this stuff? Because General Mills published studies that cereal is great for you in the morning. Well, what did they have to gain?
yeah,
Trillions of dollars. So
yeah,
it's amazing too to talk to somebody from the medical community, a medical doctor like you, who is like, wait a second, food can be our medicine. You probably would rather somebody eat healthy and exercise than see you sometimes because they probably could have
hmm
had a lot of those issues avoided.
hmm yeah. Well, I mean, I always tell my patients that, like, our practice model is to get them the education and resources that they need to not need to come back,
I
and
love
to just
that.
just go out there and be healthy, and like only
Yeah.
only come in if there's a problem, you know.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
and or if they need like a annual checkup or something, or if they do need to be on certain medications or something like that, then we just need to see them periodically to make sure they're okay and do
Hmm.
some blood tests and things like that, depending on what
Hmm.
they're on. So, but overall, just be healthy because you can.
Yeah.
And that's,
Yeah.
we've been sort of fooled into thinking that we're all just broken, shattered creatures, and we're just dying and getting disease, and our body's just supposed to
Yeah,
break
disease
down
is
and
not
fall apart.
natural. God
No,
did
it's
not
not.
create us to be diseased.
No, I
Our
mean,
creator created us to
yeah.
have perfect working bodies if we work with our bodies
Hmm.
and we listen to our bodies. And I also believe sometimes sickness is rest, right? Because
Hmm.
we need rest. If you go without sleep and you're putting a bunch of caffeine and so I mean, I know I've
Yeah.
had my adrenals like stressed and blown out because I'm tired from eating carbs and I'm eating all this stuff and you're trying to and then you're like this and it's a rat race. It's like this rat
Hmm.
race of trying to eat something healthy, but then you get tired after you eat it and you shouldn't. So then you take some caffeine and then okay, but it's a constant chaos. And
Hmm.
so I've been eating meat for a year now.
Hmm.
And I've been carnivore for 30 days.
Hey, look at that. Yeah,
Exactly.
nice.
So, yeah, and I mean, I feel incredible. I feel
Hmm.
absolutely awesome when I start eating meat. So what happened was, so I did all the research, I did all this, I had clients, and then during COVID, I was in the UK, and I was like, okay, this is crazy, all this stuff. And I'm working out and I'm like in the UK and I'm like hit a really hardcore gym session and I was shooting a movie out there and did all this and then all of a sudden I felt really, really tired and as I'm starving. I don't know what's going on with my body. And
Hmm.
something God spoke to me and was just told me, listen to your body. So I said, okay, body, what do you want? I actually asked my body, like, what do you want? Do you need? And my body said
Mhm.
fish. And I'd been vegan for 25 years at this point, right?
Mm.
So I said, okay, okay. I'm just going to listen to my body. And so I grabbed a bit of, delicious salmon that was already cooked in the package. I ate it. Suddenly, all the fuzziness in my head went away. Tiredness went away. I mean, it was like and I would never been a person to watch those. I used to be vegan things, and I was always like, oh yeah, right. They're just not doing it right. That's why and I never had any issues. I mean, I was very lean, very fit, very in my opinion, in the epitome of health, right? I was very, very healthy. But when I ate the fish, I noticed no, I was extremely tired and exhausted. This was health. Anxiety started clearing up. I needed less caffeine because I was addicted to like 6 Red Bulls a day. But I would have told you I was healthy, right?
Mhm.
Suddenly, I said, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to eat fish. I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm committing the ultimate sin. This poor little animal. I'm eating it. And so then I kept eating fish, and then I started adding eggs to my diet. And so I said, okay, I'm a pescatarian now, right?
Mhm.
So fine, that's what I am. But see, I started dealing with this label. This is why I hate these labels that we find ourselves in because we get locked into it. Essentially, veganism, like any diet, any strict diet, even carnivore can be, it can essentially become a eating disorder if
Mhm.
you are obsessed with it. This is my viewpoint, right?
Mhm.
I'm not finding that with carnivore though, because now and seeing the new light, now I've come into the light, I find it to be more a natural way for people to eat. I'm like, okay, so this is probably the anti-eating disorder because I can eat as much as I want. I don't count calories. I'm eating 2, 3 steaks a day, fried in butter. It's delicious. I mean, this is
Mhm.
amazing. I love to eat. I'm a Latina, an Italian girl. I like to eat, right? So
Mhm.
making that transition over was rough mentally, but physically I felt fantastic. I could work out longer, stronger. And then when I came back to the States, I met my now husband and he was part carnivore. He was on he was eating tons of just eggs and beef and then, but doing sweet potatoes, kind of like a paleo kind of mix. And I thought, man, he's eating all this meats and this crazy. But he said, listen, I was vegan before. He lost weight. He was telling me how good he felt eating this kind of, almost carnivore diet. And I didn't believe him. I thought he was crazy. I said, no, no, I'll stick to pescatarian secretly because I still have my vegan sponsorships. I didn't want to say I'm
Right.
vegan. I'm not
Yeah.
vegan. I just stopped talking about veganism, but I didn't,
Mhm.
I felt like a fraud. And then I lost my voice.
Mm.
And for a singer and a speaker, our voices my voice is my tool. So I
Mhm.
was talking like this for like a couple months.
Yeah.
And I had to record a voiceover. I had to record a new song. I had a show booked where I had to sing a few songs as well live. And I'd said yes to it while I was talking like this. I said, oh my goodness. And I was really raspy and I couldn't fix it. I bought all the elixirs and things. And I don't do westernized medicine. So I was doing like herbs and tinctures, right? And finally, my husband Jeremy said, why don't you try meat? And so that was a year ago. And my first meat was lamb, crumbled lamb. I did not like the taste of it. I'm still not a big lamb fan, but he loves lamb. But mentally, I was like, oh. And then physically, I had a stomach ache, but then I was fine. And the next day, I ate some more meat. Then I tried hamburger meat and I fell in love with beef. And then a week later, my throat thing disappeared.
Hey,
Isn't that
amazing.
crazy? It's
Yeah.
amazing. I felt like God was showing me that. I still don't know what that was, if it was an
Mm.
infection. And I rarely got sick when I was vegan. I would have told you I was the healthiest person ever. But I started running faster. Like my body system got a reboot. I felt more energized. I could go longer, stronger, harder in the gym, wake up earlier, get more things done. My skin was glowing more, adding all these fats, animal products. I thought I was lactose intolerant. Sounds like I'm not, like because I can eat cheese. Yeah, all
Mhm.
these things went away, and I wasn't even somebody because I used to think, oh, people go carnivore. That's only if you're like dying of cancer, you have all these illnesses. I don't need that. That's not for me. I'm good. I got this. Nope. until something happened to me. And now I'm like, I shouldn't have ever waited. I should have just been eating this way the whole time, a healthy diet. I gradually became more and more meat-based, and I said, I want to try the carnivore challenge. I started watching your videos. I started like getting into it. And so now it's been 30 days. And the first week I lost a pound a day of fat. And my
Yeah, well,
muscle tone is incredible because I'm not trying to lose weight. I'm trying to, lose fat but gain muscle because I still
mhm.
like to bodybuild and train. And so, but still want to stay curvy and feminine. So, it's amazing. The biggest thing is I can eat so much volume of food and feel so satisfied. My sleep is better. I don't have this kind of almost had hypoglycemia kind of. My mom had that. So I would have my blood sugar would drop really low and I would get starving and start shaking and get anxiety and have to eat something. I don't have that anymore. I love it. This is my snack. I don't really snack a lot. I just eat big, heavy meals, but I had some of these pork rinds.
Nice.
So yeah, I love it. It's brand new for me from being vegan to carnivore. It's quite a difference.
Yeah, nice. I really like how you said that carnivore seems like to be the anti-eating disorder because you don't limit yourself in eating
Hmm.
disorders. Are typically you're not eating or you're vomiting or you're basically stopping yourself from getting nutrition.
Yeah.
And whereas this is you're eating as much as you want of just these certain things. And when you
Yep.
sort of think about it, when I think about it this way, it's like food is species specific. And it's a lion doesn't have an eating disorder if it only wants to eat gazelle. It's just like that's
Right.
what its body is telling it, and that's the only thing I
Yeah.
want to eat as well. And it's not that I like, ooh, I wish I could eat all these other things, and I'm just stopping myself, and it's harming me. A, it's not harming me. B, I have no interest in eating those other things. I don't want to eat any of those things.
Amazing. I know
And
that was the biggest shock for me is I didn't have a
yeah,
desire to eat. So I do get a little bit bored. I did get
mhm.
some boredom. So I've gotten really creative, like making carnivore cakes, and I'm into that recipes and the pancakes and all the, and I kind of do carnivore flex because I do a little bit of cacao powder, right, to make a
Mhm.
chocolate thing. But for the most part, and I've had a few cheats, but
Mhm.
then I feel like crap after it. So I go, yeah, I don't really need this. I
Mhm.
could actually commit to carnivore for the rest of my life. I think. I'm not saying I'm going to do it, but it's
Mhm.
so much more possible. And I thought you guys were crazy. I thought this was crazy. I was like, that's so
Yeah,
restrictive.
yeah.
But like you said, I didn't, I think it's a texture thing, right? So I could have creamy, crunchy, finding a variety of things. But my favorite thing to eat, and I ate this for 2 weeks straight and didn't get tired of it, was a big old steak, New York strip steak, fried in butter. Oh my gosh, it just satisfied it. I had that feeling, like you said, it's like I don't crave anything else. And two eggs, and I would have two eggs, all grass
Sounds
fed,
amazing.
humanely raised, antibiotic free, non-GMO, blah, blah, blah. I have to have it like that, right? And
Hmm.
it just a little bit of pepper, a little bit of salt, didn't crave anything else. I couldn't
Hmm.
believe it.
Hey guys, just want to take a second to thank our sponsor, Carnivore Bar. I don't promote many products because honestly, all you need to be healthy is to just eat meat. For those times that you're out hiking, road tripping, or stuck at work and you want a nutritious snack that is just meat, fat, and salt if you want it, the Carnivore Bar is a great option. So I like this product not because it's just pure meat, but also because I want the carnivore market to thrive as well. And the more we support meat-only products, the more meat-only products there will be available in the mainstream. So if this sounds like something you'd like to get behind, check it out using my discount code Anthony to get 10% off, which also applies to subscriptions, giving you 25% off total. All right, thanks guys. Your body looks for nutrients. It doesn't track calories, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
not just looking for
Mm-hmm.
bulk. This is like, well, as long as this thing is sack is full, we'll trust you. It's like
Yeah.
no, your body's way more sophisticated than that. And you have
Yes.
receptors in your stomach that track up your vagus nerve to your brain and actually keep track of the amount of nutrients that are in your stomach right then and there. So it
Wow,
doesn't
I
have
didn't know
to,
that.
yeah, yeah. So this is why you get that feeling of satiety long before those nutrients are inside your body and your body has all the nutrients it needs. Your body knows what's coming down the pike. So
Mm.
your body can see that and just go like, oh, okay, we have some, but we want more. So things still taste good. That meat is still desirable and it still
Mm-hmm.
tastes good. But you'll notice it tastes slightly less good as you go, and then eventually it doesn't taste good at all, and you have a bite that just sort of tastes like cardboard. And like, that's weird. It's not really interesting anymore, and you just stop. If you finish a steak and it's good to the last bite, you probably go make another steak because your body's telling you that it still wants more. You should probably have a bit of leftovers, at least at the beginning,
Mhm.
until you sort of can understand what your body's telling you and how much it wants, and you can sort of
Yeah.
gauge how much you want. And
Wow.
but that's how it does that. Yeah. And so long before your body absorbs it, your body's looking in the stomach going like, yep, that's enough. We're done. Now, if
Hmm.
you're eating vegetables and fruit and grains and other sorts of things that don't necessarily have the nutrient density of meat and, there's anti-nutrients and toxins aside, but they just don't have those requisite nutrients. They just have bulk because there's a lot of fiber. It's stretching your stomach. You're getting physically full, but
Oh my
your hunger is
gosh.
not actually satisfied because
Yeah.
your body can see is like, yeah, there's nothing in here. Yeah, there's stuff, but
It's
we
just
actually need
stuff.
food,
It's
and
crazy.
so
It's so true because I would feel that. And I mean, I was raw vegan for a year.
mm,
I tried everything and it wasn't to try to solve. Now, when I was younger, I modeled a lot. So I was very
mhm,
thin, very lean, like very thin, fit, but lean, 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 thin. And I was trying to stay skinny for modeling because they would always be like, you're too big. So I would try different, ways to try to eat to fill myself up exactly what you said, but not overeat. And raw vegan, I felt a lot of energy on it. I felt great. It was very impractical though. I'm bringing avocados on me, to eat on the plane. I was just like, that's all I could eat, and apples. And then it was very tough because I also craved cooked warm foods, right? Like comfort. And I never felt full. Like I did get more energy. I think it was better than eating the cooked vegetables for me, but it didn't. And at the end of the day, I'm like, it doesn't give me what I want. So when I switched my goals to bodybuilding and I said, now I need to build muscle, I competed as a vegan and won two trophies,
that's
but which, thank you, was amazing. Um, but I ate so many grains. The diet I had a trainer for that. The diet I was on was so grain filled, so many protein shakes. And so it was not, even though it got the desired effect, I felt awful, right? Like I
mm,
felt miserable. I looked fantastic. Now, eating carnivore and lifting, I can lift for 2 hours and I like to lift heavy and I
mhm,
feel incredible. Like I don't feel bad. I feel satiated. I also feel like very like, yeah, I'm gonna dig into the steak and like I earned it, I deserve it. And then after I feel like, oh yeah, I fed my body. My body feels happy. It's
mhm,
crazy. I don't feel snacky. I used to snack on a lot of chips and a lot of like things like that that I would have said is healthy. And then the way I counsel and consult with my clients is different too, because I say, hey, listen, why don't you add some more meat there? Why don't you add butter? They'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, I was cooking with butter. You should cook with butter. Yes, tallow, beef tallow.
mhm.
I'm one of those converts now. And my clients are happier because it's
Nice.
just practical. It's easy. Yeah, have the burger, take off the bun.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even little things like that, just moving in the right direction, is
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
makes a huge difference for people and their both their results and their health. And we see so many people when they're trying to lose weight, maybe for model you want to stay skinny, so well, I'm going to go vegan. I'll just have a
Hmm.
high fiber food that fills up my stomach,
Yeah.
but doesn't actually give me any nutrition. That was the argument in the 80s and early 90s. You may remember this as a kid. I certainly
Mhm.
do that they said, well, to satisfy your hunger, go on a diet, eat a bunch of vegetables because it has all this fiber, but it doesn't have any calories. And so there's like the
Oh yeah.
celery diet where you can eat, it takes more calories to
To,
process
to
the
chew
celery than
it.
it does than you get from the celery. And so it's just
Yeah.
like you just eat as much celery as you want. You'll just be losing weight, losing weight. It was just
Who
like,
wants to live that
yeah,
life? It's a
yeah, well,
horrible life.
it
Dieting is
is. Yeah,
horrible.
yeah,
It's not
yeah,
a
it is.
lifestyle. It's
Yeah.
awful. And I love fats. That's what, I was very low on omega fatty acids. And
Mhm.
I used to supplement those being a vegan. And I healed so many of this tiredness, this agitation, this hunger, this what it's even hard to classify, but I know you know what I'm talking about. Something that's
Mhm.
running this tape. It must be the body going like, feed me nutrients, feed me nutrients. That went away when I started eating high fats.
Mhm.
First was salmon. I love salmon, but to be honest, my favorite food right now is just beef. Like I just eat steaks and butter all
Yeah,
day.
me
I'm
too.
such a
Yeah.
beef bro, right? Yes, I feel
Yeah.
like so
Well, it's
good.
good. Tastes amazing. And when
Yeah.
especially when people are trying to stay slim or women they go into like a vegan thing and
Mm-hmm.
and some people it becomes an eating disorder because they want to stay
Mm-hmm.
skin and they're skinny and they're quite obsessed with it and so
Yeah.
they want to eat these things and because they think if you eat meat or fat you're going to get fat there's no chance in hell
Yeah.
that I'm going to do that but
Yeah.
you look back at the the beauty icons of previous times. And what do they eat? Well, Marilyn Monroe was very open. She ate bacon and eggs every morning. She ate a lot of meat. She was very clear. She ate a lot of meat. That was her main staple was
Wow. I
fatty
didn't
meat and
know that.
eggs. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
and she wasn't a Calvin Klein, paperclip model,
Thank
but
God, because nobody
thank
wants
God.
that
Exactly.
anymore.
Exactly.
And that's
Yeah.
not the way a feminine body should look. Some
Yeah.
women are naturally thin, it's okay. But
Yeah.
now my programs, I have my women, I call them my curvy, confident queens. I have the
Hmm.
ladies that want to build a booty. They want to have nice, juicy glutes. They want to have
Mm.
soft, feminine curves, but they want to have lower body fat, but some body fat, right? And
Hmm.
muscle. And the men want to be ripped, strong kings. So I train people so differently now than I did before. And I would have told you I had a healthy mindset. So it's so important to have pushback and conversations and watch the opposite views, because we can be in a bubble. I was the most
Hmm.
stubborn. I would have told you, yeah, in my 20s, I'm the most healthy. I know exactly, I know what I'm talking about,
Hmm.
but when you start to see, this is why I love the internet too, that we have so many different opinions and ideas and podcasts like this. So you have
Hmm.
conversations. Someone might listen to this and be like, oh, yeah, I think a little bit like him. I think a little bit like her, and then form your own opinion. And
Hmm.
that's the basis of everything. Form your own opinion, do some experimentation. That's why I had to try a carnivore. I was like, okay, I'm hating on these guys, but I'm already eating meat. So, like, I've been wanting to do something I call like a carnivore cleanse because I was
Hmm.
big into the cleanse. I did juicing and I love fasting and I love, so I said, okay, what if I did a carnivore cleanse? Because I loved bread. Sourdough bread was my
Hmm.
Achilles heel. Can't keep it in the house. It would just be gone. And my husband would make fun of me. But now we keep bread here because he eats bread. I don't eat it. I don't touch it. I don't think about it. I'll have a carnivore cake. I made carnivore ice cream the other day. I'm always making some kind of carnivore-ish muffins, with
Hmm.
cheese, and I'll mix eggs. I use beef tallow for everything, tons of sea salt. I noticed when I eat more salt, like I have sea salt in my water here, and I eat more fats, it's easier to just eat meat. Because at first I thought this is going to be hard. It wasn't hard in the
Hmm.
beginning because I was doing lots of salts and fats. And then probably the third week, it got a little rougher. And
Hmm.
then this week, I've had cravings because I'm on my cycle. So I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, time to bring out that carnivore chocolate cake, carnivore ice cream, like make me feel like I'm eating naughty things, but it's healthy. I'm not even eating
Hmm.
any fruit. And I
Hmm.
kind of, when I started eating meat, I kind of stopped eating fruit. It's interesting because I
Hmm.
don't see it. I know some carnivore people eat a little bit of berries, right? Do you
Hmm.
eat some fruit or you just, no, you're
No.
pure 100%.
Yeah,
Woo!
100%. Never cheated, never had a cheat day, never wanted to, you
That's
know.
incredible.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That
Yeah.
is it. And you don't find a lack of variety in the carnivore diet?
No, I mean, the thing is if, I've always just wanted to eat steak anyway for my birthdays every year. My mom was an amazing cook. I mean, she like just absolutely fantastic. And she has over 500 cookbooks. She has read all of
What?
them. She has used all of them. She
Wow.
absolutely just loves like the culinary,
Hmm.
experience and just of making the food and mixing these things together. And even the
Hmm.
chemistry and the chemical, bonds and connections that they make.
Hmm.
They've got a chef, Alton Brown, who goes into like the chemistry behind
Oh.
food and how these things mix together and these chemical bonds and reactions that make these flavors that you're looking for. And so my mom loves all that stuff. And so we'd have these like amazing dinners all the time. But for our birthday, it was just like whatever you want. She's going to make like the
Mm.
dinner you wanted. All I wanted every year was just like as much steak as I could eat, not just like the portion for the table. And there's 7 people in the family, so it's just like you didn't necessarily get all the meat that you wanted. And I always wanted a lot of meat,
Yeah.
but it was like it's my birthday. I want big ass steaks. I want to be able to keep eating steak until I don't want to eat steak anymore. I just want as much, just big
Just
steaks,
half a cow.
with like, yeah, with like some like hollandaise sauce or something like that, like, or
Mm.
béarnaise sauce on it at the time. And and so that's what I would do. And then when I started doing carnivore full on, and intentionally so, knowing this is what I was doing, I wasn't just like, well, I'm not going to eat plants or whatever, and just defaulting into carnivore. Um, it just felt so wonderful, and it just felt so right. And every day, I was just eating a big, amazing steak until I felt like not eating anymore. And I said to my dad, I was like, it just feels like my birthday every day because
Oh,
I get exactly what I want every single day. I just have this big,
wow.
amazing steak. This is like my special birthday meal that I have to wait once a year for just to really treat myself. I get this every day. Every single day, I get this
Amazing.
amazing steak. And so, there's nothing else that I want.
That's
You know,
awesome.
yeah. The only times I'll sort of, snack on like a bit of cheese or lunch meat or something like that is just like if I don't have steaks cut up and I'm like just too lazy to like do something, I'm like, oh, I'll have this right now. I'll cut something up later or something like that. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's just steaks. And so, with when
Wow.
I'm, with other people and things like that, or we're traveling or I'm at, visiting family, there's always meat available. I can always cook it, but there might be other other things around. It doesn't tempt me, but
Mm.
in when I'm in my house is just meat. It's just stacks of
Yeah,
meat. And
just
so it's like
second.
my fridge is like a butcher's, shop,
I bet.
It's like
Yes,
it's,
just
so
yeah. Do
I've
you
got
eat
meat.
fish as well?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, if like,
Yeah.
wild caught and
Nice.
only. And but 99% of what I eat is just beef.
I love
And
that.
so yeah, so I have whole fridge, and I've got big Cryovac packs of beef that are just sitting there wet aging. And then I've got them cut up and, salted if back when I used salt. Now I don't use salt.
You don't use
Just
salt?
it just doesn't taste good to me anymore.
Wow,
At
that's
first, it's a good idea to
incredible.
use salt, though, especially if
Yeah.
your body's craving it, because when
Yeah.
your insulin levels are coming down, when you go ketogenic, it's not carnivore, it's ketogenic, and when your insulin levels come down, you
Hmm.
can lose too much salt out of your kidneys,
Yeah.
and um, and
I noticed
so
that and I get really
yeah,
tired until I would put salt in water
yeah, and
or on my food.
so yeah, you lose the salt, so you get salt wasting in your urine, and you also get dehydrated. So, and the
Oh,
dehydration
yeah.
can really make you tired as well, and so
Yeah.
adding in more water and some more salt to replace that can be really
Yeah.
helpful. And then eventually you get keto adapted, and your insulin levels just sort of normalize. And then you're not losing as much. You don't need as much. There's some people I know one person that years onto a ketogenic diet still
Yeah.
needs to add just a buttload of salt. I mean, like 7 grams a day, like just tons
Oh.
of salt, and taking
Mm-hmm.
salt tablets and things because that's what he needs.
Yeah.
He doesn't feel good without that,
Yeah.
and whereas otherwise he feels fantastic otherwise. And but everybody else, it's just that sort of levels off. And
It
for
levels
me,
off.
I would
Okay.
salt. Yeah, I salted pretty heavily at first, and then that sort of went down and down and down and down and down until now, like bacon just tastes intensely salty to me. And so
Wow.
yeah, and that sort of
Like
sucks because
your
I
body
like
got its
bacon.
salt stores. It's fine
Yeah,
now, right?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
wild. So
Well,
you do limited dairy,
yeah,
limited.
very
Do you drink
limited. Yeah,
raw milk?
very rarely. Like once a
Okay.
year sort of thing. Yeah,
Oh wow, because we
yeah,
drink raw milk in the house.
yeah. Well,
Um,
it's really
yeah.
good for you. It's like
Yeah.
it has tons of nutrients and a lot of
Yeah.
things that are very beneficial. It has enough carbohydrates that it will spike your insulin, and I've checked that on
Mm.
myself.
Mm-hmm.
Drank raw milk for 3 days in a row, and I checked my insulin. It absolutely came up. My fasting insulin came up,
Oh
and
wow.
so that did have an effect. Um, on me anyway. And so it can be enough, depending on how much you drink, it can spike your insulin enough to kick you out of ketosis. And I do think that ketosis is a useful thing to be in. If you're having a glass of milk with
Mm-hmm.
your meal or something like that, it's probably not a big deal. The
Mm.
problem comes when you keep going back because it has casomorphines, which are I don't know, you want addiction is not the right word, but it does cause like sort of compulsive eating. And it tells the
Mm.
baby mammal, hey, keep eating, keep eating, keep eating, keep eating, so that it
Yeah.
grows because baby animals are vulnerable. They get eaten. And so,
Right.
you're
Right.
trying to protect these things. We're not like lizards or frogs that are having, thousands of little babies, per
Yeah.
clutch. We've got, one or two, and like these little suckers need to survive, or
Right.
else we're done. And so that those casomorphines and I believe the carbs as well will cause them to say, oh, I want more, I want more, I want more, I want more. And so that does
Mhm.
that to us, and then we end up eating more than we want, or sort of having compulsive sort of relationship with that raw milk. So
Mhm.
like when
Mhm.
I get my hands on raw milk, it doesn't last long. And so I'm
The
like,
treat.
I'm like you with the sourdough bread, like it doesn't it doesn't
God,
sit around.
I
Yeah.
know
And so
that.
if I have like a regular supply of that, I'm just drinking a lot of that. And I'm just like, okay, no, I
You
gotta
don't need
stop.
that.
No, get
Exactly.
that
It's
out of
your
there.
addiction. Do you
Yeah.
do any keto or I should say carnivore desserts?
Um, it's more steak usually,
Just more
like,
steak? Yeah.
yeah. I don't use any sweeteners or anything like that because the
That's
sweeteners
amazing.
they can actually re-trigger the carb cravings and the sugar cravings and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And
Mm-hmm.
so even though they're not sugar, they can still trigger some of those centers in your brain saying like, "Oh, sweet, remember that?" And then you want
Oh,
that
yeah.
sweetness
Is there
again.
any sweetener that doesn't do that? I know allulose is a big one trending now.
Um, I think they'll all give a bit of that because it goes through sort of your limbic system and your memory and things like that, and
Mm-hmm.
you're just like, "Oh, like that."
Yeah.
They're
Is it
gonna.
better to just do the honey or the maple syrup in that point?
I think allulose would be better than that
Okay.
because it. I don't know for sure that allulose doesn't do this, but I'm not aware of allulose giving like a dopamine hit to your reward centers of your brain like fructose does. So fructose is actually addictive.
Hmm.
It's an actual addictive drug.
Yeah.
By the
Oh,
strictest
yeah.
medical definition, it is a drug. And so like from honey or
Crazy.
fruit or maple syrup, there's a lot of fructose in there. There's actually
Ah.
there's a difference and varies in honey, but in some honeys have more fructose than high fructose corn syrup. So it's very high
Wow.
in fructose. It has other
Yeah.
things that are beneficial in there too, but you get the bad with the good.
Yeah.
So you have to be aware of that. And the fructose is addictive. It gives a large dopamine hit to your addiction centers in your brain,
Hmm.
just like cocaine, heroin, and meth.
It's
And they've
crazy.
done studies with MRIs with humans, giving them like some sort of amphetamine, like an Adderall or something like that, to like
Hmm.
someone who's not addicted to any of these things, and those reward centers light up like a Christmas tree, right? Which is why you're like, oh yes, that was good.
Yep.
Um, then they give that same dose to a meth addict, and it barely twinkles because all those areas have actually been so worn out with the meth addiction that they've actually died, and
Oh,
there's barely anything left. But then they gave that same dose to a sugar addict who's metabolically sick, and same barely twinkle as the meth addict. So this is addictive as
crazy.
these
We should do
hard
that with
drugs,
social media addicts too. See what it's
probably
probably the same
probably very
because it's a
similar. Yeah.
dopamine hit. I started my days off with prayer and worship now,
Hmm.
and I don't even look at my phone
Good.
because I used to be so addicted to looking at my phone in the
Mm.
morning. And I thought, well, I'm not looking at Instagram. I'm checking my emails. I'm being very organized. We were talking about that.
Hmm.
Now I'm like, my assistant looks at my emails. My mornings are for me. I kiss my husband. I praise the Lord. I spend a
Hmm.
good hour. I read my Bible. I do anything without screens.
Nice.
Before then, I jump on and do my live show because and then when I'm already on cameras and in front of computers and electronics all day, I try to get
Hmm.
out and touch grass because it's addicting. All this like, and it can cause this anxiety. The dopamine hits like sugar. The dopamine hits like social media.
Hmm.
We don't want to have any of that stuff. It's just all unnatural. I feel like I'm so grateful that for you and for people
Yeah.
like you and me and people who are starting to become more aware of this, we're going back to nature. We're going back to the
Hmm.
way our bodies were created to be, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I love that. I hate my phone. I hate being having to be stuck to it all the time.
Yeah.
And it's just such a shame because I do so much of my work through that, so much communication and messages.
Hmm.
I think it's made it overly complicated and unnecessarily complicated. I mean, we have 50 different apps to do the exact same thing as a text message. You
I
know,
know. It's
it's just like
crazy.
why do we need that? Like just
Yeah.
send me a damn text. Like I don't want I don't want all these messages. It just drives me nuts. And I've got to go from one app to the other app to the other app to the other app and check. Oh, maybe I have to go back to the other app. Maybe I've missed something there. Oh, maybe there's another
Hmm.
message and I have to go back.
I know.
I think they do it on purpose just to make you so you're just doing this ring around the rosy thing, just looking at all your
Totally.
different apps, and then you can never get off of it because oh, I have to check an app, I have to check an app, I have to check an app because
It's a ding, 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 ding.
it's just
People who
awful.
don't have their notifications
Mm.
silenced drive me crazy. People
Oh yeah,
complain all the
oh
time. I
those
try
things are
to
not
call
on.
you.
Yeah.
Listen, my phone's always on silent. I don't
Hmm.
care. I can feel it when it rings. If I meant to pick it up and see that it's you, I will pick it up when it's ringing, or I will look at it on my own time. My phone is like a home phone. I don't want to
Hmm.
be that reachable. I don't want you to be able to, unless you're like my intimate innermost family, right?
Hmm.
You shouldn't be able to get a hold of me that quick. So I'm very like I rarely do I jump on a phone call. There's like very few people, like four people in my life that I'll jump on the phone and be that reachable because it just causes anxiety. And when I'm at the
Hmm.
gym, I'm putting music on, um, but I'm not on my phone, right? I have to discipline. Okay, I have music, but like look at things outside of yourself because we start looking, our eyes are just like here, and it causes exhaustion when you can't look out. Have you ever looked at a screen for hours and then you look out a window and the window's fuzzy? I've had
Hmm.
that happen where I go, okay, I have to adjust my eyes. I have to be able to regularly be doing that. So I think we're just going back to regular roots. Like our regular roots is very simple stuff. Go outside, eat meat, right? We don't
Hmm.
have to get weird. That's what I
Hmm.
I teach my clients. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be complicated, it doesn't have to be weird. Let's just,
Hmm.
take a walk and eat some healthy food and just get in the gym and do this and do that. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say too, you mentioned your clients wanting to get like curvy and things like that. Might be too
Hmm.
late, when people are adult, but that's one of the things that people don't realize is that, we have these little stick figure people walking around, like the Calvin Klein model
Oh,
or,
I can't
very,
stand it.
very, yeah. And part of that is because of lack of nutrition during adolescence and
I
development.
know.
If you don't get these essential fat soluble nutrients that only exist in animal foods, you're not going to develop
Wow.
properly. K2, D3, those are
Hmm.
very important for facial and bone structure. So you're not going to get, as wide a jaw. You're going to get crooked teeth, crowded teeth. Although teeth are exactly the
Oh,
same, but they're expecting to come into a bigger jaw, and they should come in just
oh,
be straight and nice and get all your wisdom teeth and everything like that. You're designed for that. It's just if you
wow.
don't get enough vitamin D3 or K2, it won't develop properly, or calcium as well.
This
And
makes
so you need all of
sense.
those things. And
Yeah.
one of the things about being curvy is vitamin D. And we've been
Oh.
vilifying the sun, another natural thing that we've grown up in.
Hmm.
And we're not troglodytes. We're not underground dwellers that just found this strange new world, up above
Well,
the
cover your
surface.
eyes, stay away from
Yeah.
the sun.
Yeah, we're not like these chuds that are just like, underground and just like, just like, just need to avoid the sun. And, so we're actually designed to be out there. Our bodies are meant to
Yeah.
be out in the sun. Our eyes actually developed before Edison made the light bulb. Crazy as it sounds, but our eyes are
Exactly.
actually designed to take in light from the sun, as strange
Yeah.
as that is. And people just forget that. They think it destroys your eyes, it's going to destroy your body, it's going to destroy your skin. We're getting the least amount of sun exposure in recorded
I know.
history, and
And
we
we're
have the highest skin
depressed.
cancer and the highest skin cancer as well.
Wow.
And
And we're
so yeah,
depressed, right? Which low
you
levels of
are.
vitamin D lead to
Yeah.
depression. So now we're
And
on
chronic disease.
pharmaceuticals.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Our
And
immune
what
systems are
yeah,
compromised. We're pale.
absolutely.
We're
Yeah.
ugly. We're skinny. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. It tells how you really feel. Like, we're ugly, skinny,
yeah.
stupid,
We're
useless.
dumb. We're
Yeah.
useless human beings, but it's so true. We're like,
Yeah.
and it's a weird concept, but humans were actually designed to live on planet Earth.
Hmm.
with the sun, with the way it is,
Yeah,
and eat
crazy
like
concept.
crazy concept that God already gave us the skin and
Mm-hmm.
the eyes and the bones and the marrow to be able to survive on this planet. We don't actually have to have this $1 trillion industry of skin creams and all this anti-aging and surgery. I mean, I'm a big person of take care of your skin,
Hmm.
but yeah, I started going out in the sun more too, getting out of the cult of veganism. My skin used to burn from the sun. And
Mm-hmm.
I've heard some influencers who talked about it because I like to consume other people's content too. And like, well, what are they saying? What's their experience, right? And some people said once they started eating meat, some ex-vegans, their skin was able to stay in the sun without getting
Hmm.
burned. And now
Hmm.
I'm a woman of color, so I don't get burned, but I used to get this weird tingling, like, I don't know, it would be like it would hurt after a while. So I would avoid the sun. And
Hmm.
now I'll walk to the store without sunblock, which you would have never seen Joy do 10 years ago.
Hmm.
And it doesn't
Yeah.
hurt. It doesn't bother me. I mean, if I really want to shield my face so it doesn't get
Hmm.
wrinkly, I just put like a hat on, right?
Hmm.
Or beef tallow, right? Doesn't beef tallow have some
Beef tallow is
SPF?
great. It's about SPF 4. Emu oil is about
Okay.
SPF 8.
Oh,
But it's also just good for your skin. It helps hydrate and moisturize your skin, which helps it be healthier and protect and that is protection in and of
mm-hmm,
itself.
mm-hmm.
And the other thing is vitamin D is your own natural sunblock. You know, you want UV light
Wow.
on your skin, by the way. I mean, it's actually we have more photoreceptors on our skin than we do on our eyes. And so
Wow.
we get signals and communication, our body knows which hormones to pump out and things like
We
that
shouldn't even be
based on the
wearing
frequency of light.
clothes. We should be naked in the sun. We should go back to naked.
Probably, yeah. Well,
We
well
really
then there's that
shouldn't.
whole other thing. There's a whole bunch of people out there sunning their taints and things
Oh,
like that. You know, it's just god awful. Like,
you
I
know
don't care how good of like an improvement you get with that. Like, you can keep that one for yourself. That's
I
your own
know we
secret.
should
Like,
know about it.
oh God, but
Vaginal sunning
oh
experience.
no. And yeah, so but vitamin D, we make it on the surface of our skin. It's actually our own natural UV protectant. And when you're
Mm,
not eating meat, you're not getting proper vitamin D because A,
wow.
you're not going to get vitamin D from your food, but you're also not going to get cholesterol. You're going to make some cholesterol, but the problem is when you're eating very plant-based, that the plants have their own cholesterol. They're called plant sterols or phytosterols.
Right.
And that is similar enough in chemical composition to our own cholesterol that when we absorb it in through our gut, it signals our liver that there's cholesterol coming in, so we don't need to make as much. And so that's why this has been recommended by doctors for decades to eat, almonds and different sorts of things like that because it has
I
those
know.
plant sterols will lower your cholesterol, and cholesterol is bad because your body is trying
Ah.
to kill you, and so you have to like protect it from itself.
We weren't meant to live
And
on this planet,
yeah, with
doctor.
cholesterol, and our
We're
liver's
supposed to live
supposed to
on
make
a
cholesterol.
space
Yeah,
blurb somewhere without
that's it.
light and without gravity. That's how our
That's
bodies
it.
are.
Yeah, and so you know, that lowers cholesterol because it stops our body from making cholesterol because hey, we have
Hmm.
enough. Now you don't have enough, and vitamin D is synthesized from cholesterol. All of your sex steroid hormones are synthesized from cholesterol.
Wow.
Mineralocorticoids, glucocorticoids, estrogens, testosterone, progesterone,
Preach.
all these
Preach.
things. All this
Preach
it's
it.
it's all
So
yeah,
now
it's
we
all
have
cholesterol.
pale, skinny, ugly troglodytes that can't stay in the
Hmm.
sun, and they are also, what are those people that can't have sex? Incels.
In cells, yeah, yeah.
If you are
There's that
vegan,
too.
this is you. This we're
And
calling you out,
impotent. Yeah,
vegans.
yeah, impotent and infertile. That's
Impotent.
another thing too.
Yes. The fertility
Lowest
rate has gone
testosterone rates,
down.
lowest fertility rates in recorded history, lowest testosterone rates in human history in recorded history.
Unbelievable.
You have worse sperm counts.
Soy
That's getting worse
boys.
and worse. It's not great. It's
It's
like,
hard to
same.
find masculine men out there and feminine
Mm,
women because people's
mhm.
hormones are messed up.
Yeah, absolutely is. And again, stick figure, that comes from a lot of that's from vitamin D and largely vitamin D, at least for that. So vitamin D gives the secondary sexual characteristics of both men and women during puberty. So it
Wow.
broadens men's shoulders, narrows the waist. You get that classic V-shaped appearance of like the old school bodybuilders back
Yeah,
before they
that
just
that.
became
Yeah.
mass monsters and things like that, and just
Yes,
junked up with
exactly.
steroids.
Yeah.
But the actual classical, male
Hmm.
physique
Mm-hmm.
And in women, it narrows the waist and widens the hips. You get that
Wow.
hourglass figure. And
Yes.
which is probably why there's like so many bikini models coming out of Brazil because they eat a lot of meat and they're in the sun,
Ooh,
so they're
wow,
probably getting
look at
good vitamin
that.
D, you know.
Exactly. This and
And
they're
now you got,
hotties out there. That's the
yeah,
hotties are going to
yeah,
Who
and
knew? Just get sunshine and eat meat. It's the opposite of what they tell us.
it's exact. Well, generally, I mean, that's a good rule of thumb is just whatever the authorities are telling you to do, probably not a good
Do
idea
the
as far
opposite,
as like as
exactly.
health advice.
Authorities and
Well,
celebrities
hmm
and anybody
yeah,
who's famous and rich, they're getting a check cut
yeah,
to say
to say
that.
that sort of thing. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and at the end of the day, I mean, like you said, try it, experiment, look at it yourself,
Yep.
and just see. I mean, the only thing that matters is the results that you get as an
Yeah.
individual. Even
Yep.
even if it's like you get better results as a vegan than a carnivore, like I don't care. Like I'm happy for you. I mean, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen, but if that were to happen, like I don't care. Like I'm not invested in this
Yeah.
or like, no, you have to do that. I don't care. I just want people to
Yeah.
be healthy and
You're
and
not
and they're
religious about it, which
no,
is
I don't
great. I
care.
don't find that I was afraid initially when I went to try carnivore that it would be like the vegan world I came
Mm,
from. Very cultic, very like religious about it. Like, oh, you ate, you cheated, you don't count. But people
hmm
like literally, the carnivores I talk to, they don't care. They're like, cool, it
hmm
works for you, works for you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's very
hmm
healthy. See, because they have
Well,
vitamin D in their brain. So
yeah,
it's like we're
yeah,
getting people who are just chill, they're casual,
yeah,
healthy.
yeah,
Do you think it's
exactly.
been done? Well, I know the answer for myself, but do you think this has been done on purpose to hide the carnivore secret? Like, is it a secret that people are there? They forced us to. You think it's done on purpose, or do you think it's just there's nothing nefarious about it?
There's a lot of intention behind this. Yeah. I mean, you have people being paid to explicitly attack the carnivore diet and attack meat and all these other sorts of things. And
Hmm.
you're seeing it now. I mean, it's a very coordinated effort. And if there's the coordination, then there's coordination. There's a plan.
Right.
There's people saying, hey, let's all do this at the same time.
Yeah.
There was a I forget the name of her channel, but she had some fitnessy health sort of thing, and the channel like blew up just in a year. So it looked like this could have been like a sort of a manufactured account. She had every single post was just like perfectly structured and scripted and lighted and edited,
Hmm.
and it's 1 year old exactly, like this month, and she's got 1.5 million followers. And everything is just, it was very plant-based, very
Mm.
mundane, calories in, calories out,
Hmm.
don't eat junk food and all that sort of stuff. But have some, but don't, go crazy. But don't stay away from it because, oh, you should have some or else you're gonna binge. All the classic tropes. But
Classic tropes. Yeah.
and yeah, and like and nothing
Bold.
about meat, is all the protein thing. Oh, this high protein, almond butter, bar sort of thing. It was
Yeah.
all plant-based sort
Go
of proteins and things. And then all of a sudden, there was a post like a couple weeks ago where it was just like, I tried the carnivore diet because I wanted abs and I got abs. It was so great. But then the health issues started. I lost my period and I got PCOS and there's like shows her in the hospital with like a drip in her
Oh,
arm and things like
she's a
that. And,
plant
then
plant.
acne and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And I was just like, yeah, you don't actually get hospitalized with PCOS and you don't need
Oh,
IV medication for PCOS either. Sorry, that's not what that is. And it's just like, oh,
uh-oh,
I don't have my
uh-oh.
period. I need to go on a drip.
Fact
And like,
check.
and
What are
yeah, and it
you
was just like,
dripping? Blood? Like,
yeah. And yeah, it's like we're just gonna pump estrogen into your veins and like
oh
and
my
then it
God.
was but then she was saying, so I did carnivore for 8 weeks and it just destroyed my health, right? And now it's been 12 weeks on since she did that. So at the time of the video, she said it was 12 weeks on, right? And this was 2 weeks ago. And everyone was, oh, it could have been before, it could have been. No, she said she was still doing this, going through it, and it has been 12 weeks. She just posted it. She's saying she's talking about now. Okay,
Hmm.
so that's 12 weeks that she's been recovering, and she says she's still not recovered. And then 8 weeks on that this did. So that's 5 months. Her account's only existed for a year. You go back through the last 5 months of her stuff, it's all plant-based, plant-based. There's no acne anywhere. She's not talking about
Oh
PCOS
my
now going in the hospital or
gosh, are
anything
you
like that. There's nothing.
serious?
There's nothing. And there's not a word of it. It's the only thing that's ever mentioned that. And then literally the next day or the day after, like within very close proximity of this, other big accounts, with hundreds of thousands or over a million followers that all push this whole processed food is okay, like having some sugar and this and that. It's not that big a deal. And, you're just being,
Hmm.
scaremongers and putting out, studies on seed oils and aspartame and all these other sorts of things, saying they're not bad and all that sort of stuff.
Oh
And
my
some of them who have been
gosh.
paid to say this because they got busted by the FTC and got a written warning. It's public record right now, and threatened with a $50,000 fine if they don't straighten up. Now, people like that are now have a fully edited and scripted and published video, responding to her video that just came out the day before and saying, "Oh, well, this you see this shows that carnivore is a really bad idea. It's an influencer who's come out. She's broken her side. She's talking about this and talking about her experience and this, that, and the other." And it's just like multiple people are doing that, and they all published on the same day. So that's a
What?
coordinated effort, and that's
Absolutely.
that's a complete and utter
Absolutely.
con. And I see
No.
fake accounts popping up saying, "Oh, hey, I'm carnivore, but oh, now I'm going to stop carnivore because of my cholesterol." I was like, "This is a fake account. You've got six
Mhm.
posts." Like, what the hell are you talking about? And like,
It's
and
so crazy. They call it astroturfing. Have you heard
oh
that
yeah,
term? Yeah,
mm,
so grassroots is a
oh
natural
yeah,
movement that comes from the roots. It's like grassroots. It's like people,
hmm
uh, carnivore is very grassroots. It's shared
yeah,
naturally. There's no like overhead carnivore, I don't
right,
know, like leader and that we have to follow and eat this certain thing. So astroturfing, which is fake grass, is when a
mm,
company, and the pharmaceutical companies are known for doing this. They did this with
mm,
Adderall and all those studies for kids, is they would hire fake people or they hire real people to create fake personas online,
mm,
and they would infiltrate all the mommy blogs and they say, "Oh, my kid had the same problem like you, Susan, and this is why I used Adderall." And then
mm,
so now moms are reading these blogs going, "Well, this helped for this mom who looks like me, and wow, she reads this blog and she's on this Facebook group." And before you know it, there's a movement started, but it was
yeah,
started by, and literally, if you think about these companies that have
mhm,
billions of dollars to put
yeah,
into this to attack
yeah,
small creators like you were just like literally like, "Hey, I'm a doctor that just happens to eat this way. It helped healed me and my patients. I want to tell people about it."
mm,
And then you don't have all this, brand money recognition,
mhm,
Coca-Cola budget to do what they do. So this is what they do. This is their tactics, and it's astroturfing. And so many
yeah,
companies,
right,
but it's been exposed because like
hmm
you're smart, you can see it. People can just do a Google search and be like, "What? Let me ask
hmm
ChatGPT real quick. Oh yeah, this is
hmm
fake." But they're
hmm
dumb. They're all like old, people in their 60s that just are like, "I'll give you $100,000. Make those accounts. Make it look
yeah, yeah,
good."
yeah.
They
Well,
can't stop the small creators like us. And we're some
no.
of the bigger creators on the internet
Mm,
compared to normal people, but we're small compared to what we come up against, the
yeah.
major pharmaceutical companies, the major big food, right? With big pharma,
hmm
big food. It's crazy.
Mm. Yeah, well, and that's the thing. I mean, they've been doing this sort of thing for decades. And so, they've been vilifying meat, vilifying fat to
Hmm.
to push their own products, their sugary processed
Yep.
food, plant-based
Meanwhile, they're
products.
eating the best steaks and fats, I'm sure,
Always,
right? The
always. Yeah, they were
executives
they
are.
were definitely serving steak at Davos, that's for sure. Always saying that,
Yes,
let them
exactly.
eat bugs and like, but we're eating steaks.
Exactly. The bugs thing is crazy because there's
Oh
vegans who
God.
embrace that. And this is the weird thing when I noticed in veganism is they were embracing the fake meat. Okay.
Mm.
I used to eat a lot of that fake meat. By the grace of God, I didn't
Oh,
die. It's
yeah.
so
Yeah.
disgusting. But then when they started doing the lab grown meat, I
Mm.
never tried that. I
Good.
mean,
It's
Bill Gates
disgusting.
owns a lot of these fake meat companies.
Yeah.
And I used to eat the vegan section. I just walk by and I give it the middle finger now. I used to eat all that crap. Fake
Yeah.
cheese, fake meat. I mean, and then I started going, "Oh, this makes me sick. I don't really like eating this." And then
Mm.
luckily, I like to cook, so I would create my own things. But still, you're creating out of vegetables, and you're thinking it's healthy. It's not. It's just this catch 22. If I eat more vegetables, I'll be healthy. But to eat healthy, you actually have to not eat a lot of vegetables, right?
hmm
But nobody tells you that. They just tell you eat
Yeah.
vegetables. So all of it, I believe all of it's created, all of it's astroturf, like you explained, all
Hmm.
of it, and they just, but they can't keep up with the real voices, with real people, real
Yeah.
subscribers, real
Yeah.
individuals who think for themselves. They just can't compete with authenticity because you can't
Mm.
fake a conversation like this. No matter
Yeah.
how bad things get, I think real people are going to see the truth and they're going to be able to discern fact from fiction. They're going to look
Hmm.
for it. That's what happened with me. I started going, okay, fine. Grassroots, my husband telling me about telling me about carnivore, and then I doing the research and then finding all these people online like you who
Hmm.
created content and then being like, okay, let me try this, and then feeling great, feeling freaking fantastic.
Hmm.
Boom. Why would I go
Yeah.
back? They don't have you
Yeah.
once you try it. That's why they always try to stop you
That's it.
from trying it.
Yeah.
That's why the scare tactics. Because if they said,
Mm.
you know what, if vegans were honest and they said, you know what, veganism is the best, but try carnivore, and if you don't feel better, because you won't, because vegan's the best, come back to
Hmm.
veganism. No, because then it would lose all their people.
Mm.
That's what cults
Yeah.
do. Is it just
Yeah.
don't read about it, don't look at it, don't
Yeah.
research it. Just
Yeah.
believe me. I'm telling you, it's the
Mm.
best. So just, oh, okay.
Yeah.
What?
Hey everyone, really happy to announce a new sponsor for the show and for everybody down in Australia, Stockman Steaks, who are delivering high quality grass-fed and finished pasture-raised beef and other meats, flash frozen and vacuum sealed to your door, something that I've been enjoying a lot of myself recently as well. They also have a great range of specialty items such as high-fat keto mince and carnivore beef and organs mince with liver, kidneys, and beef heart as well. So use code Chaffee today for a free order of beef mince or another specialty gift along with your order at stockmansteaks.com.au, and I'll see you over there. Thanks, guys. Well, I tell people all the time it's probably a good thing that you go back and eat some of that stuff again, eat some salad, eat something like that. Because you'll see exactly what this is doing to you if you do
Yeah.
that. And
You feel like
so,
crap.
sometimes, yeah, exactly. You just feel rotten and you'll see what that's
Hmm.
doing to you and you'll see why you're avoiding this. Okay, so you have the theory, the theory, the concept, these plants have toxins, these things that don't agree with our body, and
Hmm.
we've actually known for hundreds of years, thousands of years that there's certain plants you have to avoid. In the last 150 years, there's people like Dr. Salisbury who are saying, "Hey, look, all these chronic diseases, these are actually coming from plant toxins that are doing horrible things inside of our body and our gut." And so, he made the same argument that I'm making now in the
Wow.
1800s, and he was getting massive results in reversing all, rheumatoid arthritis, Crohn's, all these other
Ooh.
sorts of gout, and people were healing from tuberculosis because their immune system was getting better,
Wow.
by changing this. And so, you're seeing all this, and say, okay, well, look, try it, see how you go for 30 days, go back to how you were eating, or try a vegan
Hmm.
diet, or just add a salad
Hmm.
or an
Hmm.
apple. See what it
Hmm.
does. You'll see because
Yep.
it's awful. I mean, the reason that I
I know
don't
because I
have any
cheated and
interest,
I was like,
yeah,
I don't want to do that anymore.
that's it. That's it. And so so many people will come and they'll say like, yeah, well, I have, people will say like, they want to try something else, or maybe, oh, well, can I have avocados? Like, try it, just get it out of your
Go
system
for
for
it.
a month and put it back in and see what it is. And they
Ooh.
always come back to me like, yeah, nah, that's not going to work for me. I felt way, way better when I was off that. Or
Yeah.
patients of mine that, I say like, because they have, autoimmune issues, they've got diabetes, they've got these sorts of things. Like, listen, full elimination diet is going to do the best thing for you, and just going to meat and water
Wow.
is going to be the best thing for you. They agree to it, but they're sort of like, oh, I don't know. And they do it for a few weeks, and they're like, okay, yeah, actually, I'm feeling a lot better. Your numbers are getting better. Everything's getting better. And they're like, oh, but is there anything I can do just to sort of change it up, because I'm really finding it hard to stick to this. It's like, sure, okay, but you have diabetes. I think it's really important to stick to a ketogenic approach, to get your blood sugar down, get your insulin down, and
Hmm.
reverse this. And they're like, okay, oh, you can do that, but can I have some fruits and vegetables? Like, yeah, you still want to avoid these things. You want to stay away from nightshades. You still want to be ketogenic, and you want to mix these things up. So you don't want to have too much, but you
Hmm.
also don't eat the same vegetable every day because those toxins will build up.
Oh,
And this happened twice that most people actually, once they get onto it, they're like, this has changed my life. I'm not definitely not
yeah.
going back.
Yeah.
And like you say, once you try it, the game's over because you can't fake results.
No,
And
you
so,
can't.
and not in your own body. And maybe you can make it up online and lie and say you were in the hospital for PCOS, even though you don't have to go to the hospital for PCOS and go on a drip. But people
Right.
believe that. But you know what? You can't fake your own results in your own body. You can
Yep.
tell yourself all you want that you're healthy on a vegan diet, but then you start eating meat, and you're like, I didn't even realize how bad I felt until I just went away from it.
Exactly.
And so,
Exactly. It's
yeah,
crazy. You don't know what you don't know.
that's it. And
Like you have to experiment. You have to try it.
yeah, definitely. And people are. And so like I have two patients that were like, well, I have to sort maybe can we open it up a bit? Like, sure. So we came up with a plan and came back a month later, like, okay, how you doing? And they're like, I think I have to go back to full carnivore. And I was just like, oh, really? What happened? It's like I was just feeling so much better on that. I had no idea. I had no idea until it just went
And then
away.
the glasses came in. Nah, 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 nah. Have
Yeah.
you seen those memes on you? Yeah,
Oh
like
yeah, 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 yeah,
exactly.
yeah. The Snoop Dogg comes in. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Told you.
They're like, yeah. What do I know? I'm only a
I know.
doctor. Yeah.
Exactly. You're only
Yeah.
a doctor who's been doing it for how many years have you been carnivore now?
Well, currently just 7 years, last 7 years straight, and then 5 years in my
Ooh.
early 20s when I was just,
Wow.
just no plants. That was the main thing. And then sort of slipped
Yeah.
back onto a very clean, omnivorous, meat heavy diet.
Yeah.
But I would basically eat a bunch of meat and I'd have a salad because you're supposed to eat a stupid salad,
Yeah.
But like that
Nobody
was it.
likes salads too.
No, no
They're
one
hard
likes
to
salad.
eat. It's hard to take down. Even as a vegan, when I
Yeah.
was raw vegan, I was like, it's a lot to chew. It's not like it's enjoyable. You don't naturally feel like this is something I should eat, which should show us something. Everybody wants to eat a burger and a
hmm
steak.
hmm
So, what do you recommend to people? Do you recommend that they ease into carnivore or just go straight in?
It depends on the personality,
Hmm.
and but I know there's good arguments in either direction. I've seen a lot of really good results with people just jumping in, especially when they're highly motivated and they're like, this seems right. This is what I want to do.
Hmm.
It's just jump in head first. If you're sort of like, ooh, I don't know, and I'm this, sure, and you want to ease into it, and that's going to be easier for you. That's fine too. I eventually you're going to have to stop. So eventually there's going to have to be a cold turkey moment that you just cut this stuff out. And
Hmm.
people say like, well, should I go in one time or this? And it's like, there's no bad time to stop eating poison. So just cutting it
Ooh.
out is fine. But if you
Yeah.
want to just sort of start ramping up the meat that you're eating, and ramping up the meat that you're eating, and start replacing out the other things. And sorry, I'm just that. And you want to start turning, dialing it down on these other things, cleaning it up, eating more meat. You're already going to start improving. But if you want to, do it in a transition, sort of a slow transition,
Hmm.
you have to start that transition today. So you got to cut something out. So you cut out,
Yeah.
processed food. That's gone, right? And
Right.
then, on a calendar, you mark it down 1 week from now, you're cutting out carbs and grains and sugar, everything, all that,
Hmm.
all carbs, you're going ketogenic. And then the next week, you're cutting out nightshades, potatoes, tomatoes, eggplants, peppers, right? Capsicums. Next week, you're cutting out all beans, seeds, legumes, nuts, all that sort of stuff. And you just cut these things out as you
Mm.
go, and you're eating more and more meat as you go. And then on this date, 4 weeks down the road, I wouldn't really let it take longer than that. Here's your X, and it's just like it's only meat and eggs after this. So you have to have a timeline. You have to have a clear progression. This is what I'm going to be cutting out this whole way, not just like, I'll sort of eat a bit less and I'll sort of move my way into it. It's
Yeah,
not going
because
to
you won't.
happen.
Yeah,
No, you
you're
won't.
right. You gotta be
It's like
disciplined.
that's like the
Gotta be
people
a
that say, "Oh, I'm going to
challenge.
cut down on smoking. I'm going to wean myself off and then quit."
Yeah.
Those are the guys who say that they're quitting smoking for 20 years straight, and they never do it until one day they're like, "Nope, I'm
Hmm.
done. I can't do this anymore." And then they go cold
Exactly.
turkey and then they
Right. That's
quit.
the way. Nice. I have one question, and I do have to get going. This has been so
Yeah,
amazing.
no worries.
Can you drink alcohol on the carnivore diet?
I mean, you can, you can do whatever you want, but it's a
Yeah.
plant and it is a poison, so
True.
it's
It's
it's definitely
literally
not
a
good for
plant
you.
poison.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally
And so
anti-carnivore, huh?
yeah,
So you
so
don't
it's
drink alcohol.
not in years, you know.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
And I actually enjoy drinking. I was a rugby player, and we drank after games, and that was a
Hmm.
big part of the culture was the booze up
Yeah.
afterwards, and that was a lot of fun for me. But I actually stopped drinking during the rugby season when I was tw about the same time I went carnivore the first time
Mm.
inadvertently, and that's why I didn't figure out that like I had these massive health improvements from going carnivore at the time because I stopped drinking at the exact same time.
Ah, so you
And
thought it
so
was
I
no
I was just
alcohol.
like I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. I was just like, okay, well, I had like a month off from booze, and I was like, I've never felt better in my life. I've never played better in my life.
Mm.
So I'm going to do this for the rest of the season, not drinking, and just had the best season of my life. It was just amazing. And then I was like,
Wow.
okay, I'm going to do this for the entire year now. Again, had the next year was my entire was the best year of my life for rugby. And I was like, yeah,
Wow.
I just don't drink during the rugby season now. It's just not, just, I have no interest. So it's easier for me now. And so I've sort of had that where I wasn't like a big drinker anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
um, when I
Awesome.
when I do drink, it'd be like clear liquors, like vodka with like soda water, like no mixers. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just like clear booze with soda water or something like that.
Yeah.
And that would be it. And even then, the reason I don't drink all that often is because I feel that it not I don't get hungover the next day. I'm just a bit, tired. But then
Mm-hmm.
that sort of tiredness is sort of persists. I'm sure you've noticed that you're in like such a great time now because you're about 30 days into, you've got most of this crap out of your system. Your
Yeah.
body's going to start working better and better and better and better as you go. And
Woo.
your energy and your fitness and everything is just going to start ramping up from here. Your mitochondria are going to start doubling, then tripling, then
Oh,
quadrupling, and you're going to get more and
wow.
more keto adapted, and you're going to get more and more energy, and you'll be able to utilize all these ketones that your body's making now, and you're going to get better
Mm.
and better as you go, and you're going to
I love
feel
that.
fantastic every week you go from here.
Oh,
And so
awesome.
yeah, it's pretty exciting. And you know when you get that, and you'll notice in your workouts, you can work out for 2 hours, you can work out for 10 hours straight, not stopping, just balls
Ooh.
out, and you wouldn't be
Ooh.
sore the next day, and you feel great doing it because we make energy um, in ketosis. We make energy because of what we're doing. Like normally, you need to eat a bunch of carbs and a bunch of sugar, take a pre-workout and
Mm-hmm.
caffeine so you can get energy so you can then go use it in the gym. It's the opposite for us. Just sitting here talking to each other, we are making the exact amount of energy that we need to sit here and talk to each other. But
Mm-hmm.
when we start working out, we start exercising, we need more energy. So we produce more energy and we burn more energy. And that's what makes us feel good. That's why pre-workout makes you go, yes, I feel good. I have all this energy because you're burning more energy. That's
Mm-hmm.
not having energy in reserves. That's just being fat. Burning the energy is what feels good. And that's why you feel good when you're on a stimulant. When we work out, we're burning more energy because we're producing more energy because we need more energy and we feel better, which makes you want to
Wow.
work harder, which makes you burn more energy and makes you feel better, makes you want to work harder. So you have this positive feedback loop of just hard
Wow.
work and just busting your ass in the gym. And that's why when I go to the gym, usually like I don't want to stop. Like I just want to keep working out, keep lifting. So I'm doing like 20 sets of bench, 20 sets of squats, 20 sets
Ooh,
of deadlift, 20 sets of
20
shoulders,
sets.
20 sets. And I
Wow.
cap it at 20 because, and I don't do that all the time now because I just don't have time. But when I did have time, I would cap it at 20 because it was just like 20 is already ridiculous, but it was just like going over that. But I could keep
Three
going. I
hours in
did
the gym.
32 sets of heavy squats to failure. And I was
Oh
just like, I
my.
could just keep going, but I've been here for 4 hours just doing squats. And it's just like, that's insane. And I
Everybody in the
wasn't,
gym, like
yeah,
the rotation of the people who work at the
yeah,
gym has changed three times already,
yeah,
right?
yeah. It's like,
Like
how
that
many
guy's in
sets
the
do you have left, bro? It's like, 27, like,
they're
and
like, what?
it's like,
It's
what?
insane.
Um, thankfully, it was I had a home gym, so I
Oh, that's
wasn't I
good.
wasn't
Yeah, you can't work out
bugging
like that.
anybody.
The
Yeah,
guy's still
yeah.
doing squats. He was here
You
this
just kicked
morning.
out.
It's
Yeah,
now dinner time.
yeah, yeah. It's just like, dude, I
Wow.
was here yesterday. Are these the same squats?
You're the
Yeah,
same
and like,
outfit. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
still doing
exactly. It's like,
squats.
yeah, and so yeah, I capped
Wow.
it at 20. But that's the thing, you just feel so good. You just feel so amazing. You don't want to
Hmm.
stop. And it's
Wow.
not that like I go to the gym so that I can feel better after I leave the gym. That's what a lot of people say. It's just like, oh, the best part is when you get out of the gym, you're like, oh, I feel so good having had worked out. But the workout
Hmm.
was so hard. The workout is what I go for.
I
I
know,
feel
me
great
too.
during the workout.
Yes,
And so
that's
I just love it.
awesome.
I just want to keep going unless I
Yeah.
drink. And so I'll
Oh,
drink and I won't even get slammed and I won't even be hung over the next day, but I'll be more tired. And then I go to the gym
yeah.
and I'm like, all right, yeah, go to the gym. And I do
Yeah.
6 sets of bench and I feel like trash.
Oh my
And I'm
goodness.
struggling. Normally I do 20 and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll just do 21. No, I gotta go. It's 20. I gotta go. Now I get to
Wow.
6. I'm struggling. I get out 6. I'm like, okay, screw this. I'm done. I'm out. I gotta go home.
Hmm.
I'm just wrecked. And so it's like 6 sets that week. Now most people are only doing 3 sets to failure. They
Hmm.
may not even be going to failure, you know? They might not
Right,
even be going to
right.
the gym. So they might not see that. They may not see
Yeah.
what's going on, but I see
They
it.
might be skinny in their cave, not even
Mhm.
getting sunshine. That's
Yeah,
what
well,
it could be.
exactly. And then the next week maybe I can do 10 or 12 sets, but I feel rotten, at the
Mm.
end of that. I stop
Wow,
at
so it
12
has
because I
those
don't feel
lasting.
good. Yeah, and then 3 weeks on, maybe I'm getting to, 16, 18 sets. Fourth week I can do 20 sets again, but I'm not loving it,
It takes you
you know?
4 weeks to recover from it, so it's not worth it. It's so not
No.
worth it. I
No.
notice I don't drink all that much either, and I spent 10 years not drinking. I'm one of those people
Mm,
I can leave it or take it or leave it. But I noticed now when I drink, if I can only during carnivore, I can only handle one drink. And
mm.
I
Yeah, oh
don't have
yeah,
a
there's that
huge
too.
tolerance. It was I had 2 glasses of wine and 8 meatballs with cheese at a comedy event my husband was performing, and I was there for like 2 hours. Over the 2 hours, stretched out, sipping on 2 glasses of red wine, I was obliterated by the end of the night. I was home like feeling sick. I'm like, oh, I feel like I binged two
Mm,
glasses of wine and I ate. It's crazy. So, but there is some sort of study that shows carbohydrates and alcohol, right? You can drink more on carbohydrates. Is
mm,
that true? Is that
mm.
accurate? Because I
Well,
found
yeah,
I had to start
wouldn't surprise
researching
me.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought,
I hadn't seen that, but yeah, well, I certainly know. Like, I have like just a stupid high tolerance. Like, even when I wouldn't
mm,
drink for like a year or two, it would still take me
mhm.
like 15, 20 drinks to like get
Oh, that's
going.
expensive.
It's
You're
just
too
it's so
expensive
stupid, and
date.
I'm bringing
That's
all that
ridiculous.
poison in my body,
15 to
and it's just
20
like,
drinks? It's
yeah, it's
great.
insane. It's
No,
insane. After
yeah.
having not drank for 2 years, I mean, that's bullshit. And I would
That
get pissed.
it's a
I'd
waste of
get
money.
well, also, you're getting drinks at the bar. I couldn't get them
So
fast enough to
expensive.
build up enough in my body to get a buzz or
Oh, that's
drunk.
crazy.
And
Yeah.
so it was just I felt it, I hated it.
It's not
And so
worth
I was
it.
actually a lot happier when I stopped drinking and I was just like, I don't have to worry about that crap anymore. But
Yeah.
like, every now, sometimes like when I was drinking, like I'd drink half a fifth of vodka with Sprite in like a big gulp cup
Gosh, I feel
and
sick just
I'd
thinking
drink that
about
in
that.
like 20, 30 minutes
People
and
thought you
that
were
would be
alcoholic.
and that would just start to get me buzzed,
It's
and like I had to
horrifying.
start with that so that I could go to the bar and get drinks at like a rapid and still have 15, 20
No, that's not
drinks.
fun. That's not fun.
No, it's just
It's like
so
a
much,
bottle
but
of
at least
whiskey
then
in
I
my
could actually
house
get
lasts for
drunk.
months because I'll do like a little shot with some seltzer and then I'm like,
Mm,
oh, I'm starting to get, but
mm,
carnivore, I can't drink more than that.
there's that.
I can't have two
Yeah.
drinks. Like I have to stop because I'll get that sicky. That usually would happen for me like 4 or 5 drinks, right? I'd be like, okay,
Yeah.
well, but two, like that's
Mm,
crazy. So I mean, if you want your alcohol to
yeah.
last longer, you want to be a cheap date, just
Yeah.
carnivore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or don't do
And
it any alcohol. That's perfect. I don't even think
yeah.
people need alcohol, but
No,
that's
definitely
wild.
not. I mean, I definitely noticed that as well. So instead of like 15, 20 drinks, it's only like 8 or 9 drinks, it's much better.
So
And
many.
at least there's that, at least it's something. And
Yeah.
yeah, I remember I was hanging out with a buddy of mine and we were having some like whiskeys and it's just whiskey neat. And like I had my bottle, he was drinking whatever he was drinking.
Hmm.
And we're just sort of hanging out and just talking. I wasn't really noticing how much I was having, and I got to a point where I just had like a nice, warm, comfortable buzz, and it was like I was not drunk. I was just buzzed and just a happy, sort of chill
Hmm.
buzz,
Yeah.
relaxed. And I was like, all right, that's a nice, pleasant level. Like I like that. That's a good level for me. How much was that? How much did that take? This was a new bottle, by the way, and this was like it wasn't even a fifth. It was like a full liter. There was that much left in the freaking bottle. I drank like
You
80% of
get
this
it
thing, and I'm like,
buzz?
that's bullshit. I mean, it was like an $80 bottle of whiskey. It was
That's
like Woodford Reserve,
insane.
and
That's
it was like
insane.
just ridiculous. I'm like, yeah,
just to be
that's not
buzzed.
worth it. Yeah, I
No,
was
it's
just like,
not.
look, I'm not spending $80 per
You must be
buzz. Like that's
alcohol
stupid.
resistant or something. There must be
Yeah, just my
genetics.
liver just burns through it,
Yeah,
and
yeah. It could
which
be
is
that's operating so
which is
well. It's
good,
filtering it. That is good. No
Yeah,
one can give you alcohol poisoning. You can never.
yeah. Yeah. Well, unless you really try. But I mean, there's like there's like some points like where I was like at like a friend's wedding and I was there for a few days and it was like every night, like I was no matter how much I drank, I couldn't even get buzzed. I couldn't even get buzzed. I'm like, this is stupid. And then on
That's
like
annoying.
the day of the wedding, um I just burned through my resources. My liver was just like, oh, we're done. And I ended up getting quite drunk and a lot more than I meant to. And
It all
I was like,
came as an
"Ooh, what the hell
after
was that?"
effect. You woke
Well,
up
it
the
just
next day wasted. It's like a
well, no,
delayed reaction.
I was actually okay. I wasn't even like hungover the next day. It was just I think I just burned through the enzymes in my liver. Like you have certain liver enzymes that break down alcohol,
Mm.
and so like I think I just wore them out. Just I just burned through them,
They gave
and
up.
yeah, so I
They
beat the
gave
game.
up.
It was a game of attrition. And so I just sort of wore it down, and finally
Oh my
got drunk.
God.
And even though I was not trying to on that day, I was just drinking at the pace I've been drinking at for the last 3 days and
Oh,
not been had a problem at all. And then,
yeah.
it actually hit me a lot more. But yeah, now it's a lot less than that. But, I noticed it for a month. And so, something has to be worth losing a month of me feeling optimal. Now, I still felt better than everybody else. I'm still doing 16
Yeah.
sets of weights at the gym. No one else is doing that. So
Crazy.
I'm not back down at the level that I was before when I was eating, a clean omnivorous diet. And I'm certainly not on the level of anybody else at the gym, but it wasn't right for me. And I was just like, I noticed it.
It's
And so because
personal.
you have, yeah, exactly. And you have, it's quite a, a healthy, active lifestyle. You'd probably notice that as well. And so,
Hmm.
pay attention for that. And if you do drink, keep it clean, clear liquors and with a
Mm.
soda or something like that. And then have a think about that and be like, yeah, how is this affecting my energy levels? How is this affecting my mental health? How is this affecting my sleep and my
Yeah.
performance and my gym sessions? Because you'll
Good
probably notice a
advice.
big difference.
That's good advice. I'm gonna pay attention.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Well, Joy, it has been an absolute pleasure. I had such a fun time
Yes.
talking
I
to you. I'm really
know.
glad you came on,
It's
and
so good
thank you so much for
stuff.
taking the time out, and yeah,
Absolutely.
and dealing with my very poor timekeeping skills. I've had some problems
We had to reschedule
getting
this
this.
like 45 times, you guys.
Yeah,
Dr.
I
Chaffee's
was 42. I mean, at
okay,
most.
42. But who's
So
counting?
yeah,
Like your
yeah,
squats. Nobody's
exactly.
counting, just squatting,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
42
and
sets of squats, 42 sets of changing of
yeah,
appointment times.
exactly. There's a theme there.
I want to do your
Yeah.
workouts. We're going to check back in after I have like
Mm,
6 months of carnivore and I'll be like, yes, I
yeah,
did your workout.
yeah. Well, you could do it now. I mean, you got most of the stuff out of your
Mm.
system. Like you'll see,
Yeah.
you'll see. I mean, and especially if you've been working out a lot,
Mm-hmm.
you're not coming into this, and as a beginner that you're going to
Mm-hmm.
do something wrong and hurt yourself.
Yeah,
As long as you're giving yourself, a bit of a rest, and your body will recover so quickly, and you just keep going and keep going and keep going and
that.
keep going.
I
Yeah,
love that.
and
Yes. Awesome. Thank you,
yeah,
doctor.
no
This has
worries.
been awesome. I'm gonna have to have
Oh,
you
it
on
was
my
my
show
pleasure.
too.
Oh, I would
And
love to. Yeah. And speaking of which, where can people find you on social media, find your show, find
yes.
your courses and everything else?
Absolutely. You can go to joyvillafitness.com, joyvillafitness.com. I have my ebook, From Stuck to Strong. I detail my faith-based journey, my mindset, some fitness, nutrition advice. And that book is available on Amazon, or you can get it for free at joyvillafitness.com. And then also
Very
on
good.
Instagram, I'm at joyvilla. On YouTube, I'm at the Joy Villa Show, which is my live streaming show every weekday from 9 a.m. Eastern. And let's see what else. On Facebook at Joy Villa Music. And then I'm a musician, I'm a filmmaker. So also, if you Google me, you'll be able to
Mhm.
find me. I've done a lot
Very
of
good.
stuff. So yeah.
Very good.
Yes.
Well, great. We'll put those links down below and hopefully people can find you there and hopefully people
So
do. It's been an absolute pleasure and hopefully we can do it again very soon. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Great. And thank you everyone for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Let us know what you think about that conversation. Obviously, far-reaching sort of topics. And if you think that this could help somebody that you know, please do send it on to them. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Hey guys, thank you very much for taking the time out to listen to what I had to say. If you like it, then please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and podcast. And if you're on YouTube, then please hit that little bell and subscribe, and that'll let you know anytime I have a new video out, which should be every week, if not more. And if you could share this with your friends, that would help me get the word out and let me know that you like what I'm doing. Thanks again, guys.